What's up, everybody? Chris Flick here with legendary coach Steven Rose is back in action here. Steve-O,
Yo.
you were just about to tell me a story, man.
I was.
So what's really grinding your gears? You ever see that Family Guy? Did you get to that episode yet?
Not yet. What's
the
grinding my
story?
gears? So my buddy was doing an internship somewhere, Division I college. He just had his first Division I internship over the summer, experiencing what it's like to work in a Division I collegiate weight room, what it's like to run the athletes through speed training and stuff. And right now he's kind of going back and forth. Does he want to do athletic training? Does he want to do strength and conditioning? And loved his experience in the strength and conditioning internship. Went back to college this fall, and he was doing another internship now at another Division I sports weight room, whatever. So this now, when he went here, he just learned how different it is in the strength and conditioning field, because sometimes you'll have people running a strength and conditioning department, and they'll understand the importance of being a good person, treating people humanely and everything. Here, my buddy went in there, had a day where they got to know everyone, and he was just like really taken off guard with how these people decided to treat the interns.
These people, as in multiple people, wasn't just one male or female.
So how this college works, there's an Olympic sports strength and conditioning coach, and then there's a football strength and conditioning coach.
Olympic sports.
Everything that's not football is referred to as Olympic sports at this place.
Makes sense.
So,
imagine if football was in the Olympics.
America would win every time.
Anyway.
So they just have like simple things of like, hey, like my name is so-and-so, I go to this college, and this is my experience in strength and conditioning, just so you can kind of understand someone's background, get to know each other, because the best teams know each other, have an understanding of how to communicate with each other and all that. So after this all happened, there was my buddy just was asked, hey, like, can you help so-and-so out? They have to move some racks and stuff. My friend says, sure, I'll help you. So he's trying to help move this rack, and the coach is not helping push the rack. The coach is saying, intern, get on that side of the rack. Push, come on, push. And so they're all just trying their best, but maybe the rack was wedged on something or whatever.
How many interns are in there?
There's maybe like 6 interns. I don't know if all 6 are helping out.
Is it like even a movable rack, or is he trying to see if they can move like something that's like bolted to the ground that they don't know about?
So it's not bolted to the ground, and it was measured. It was not centered, because the coach was able to put 2 fingers on one side of the rack, and then on the other side of the rack, he was able to put 4 fingers. So it was not centered. So he needed it centered. So they're getting help, people trying to push it. And one of the assistants, one of the female strength coaches or whatever, she's pushing it. This guy's not helping. He's just, come on, push it. So that was not very helpful advice by him. And my buddy was just a little taken aback by that. So then, whatever. He's like, okay. Next week he goes. His internship doesn't start till the following Monday. He decides to show initiative, show he's ready to work hard and put in the extra time. Goes the week before to show his face, try and kind of show like, hey, I want to be a good intern and all of that. So he walks in, and he's helping out with one of the teams, and so he has to learn kind of what the exercises they're doing. So he experiences things like, all right, I'm going to do an overhead band glute ham or something. My buddy couldn't figure out how to do it, and the coach is trying to explain to him how to do it, but he's not exactly explaining it. He looks at my friend and he goes, what are you doing? And that was an example of just like, what do you mean, what is he doing? The coach is the one trying to explain it, so if the coach isn't able to explain it, and my friend's not doing it correctly, who do you think's kind of at fault there? The coach or the one who should be explaining it, or whatever. So that was a crazy experience. And then just throughout the lift, he ends up helping out gets to helping out with football, with a football strength coach, and hey, coach, is there anything I can do for you? Coach just silently shakes his head no. So my buddy's just like, okay. So he's just walking around, kind of just pacing back and forth, and then the coach is like, you know what, there is something you can do. Pick up their bands when they're done. So my friend says, okay. So they do an exercise with bands. They're done. My friend collects the bands, puts them back. 10 minutes later, they use the bands again. They get all the bands out. They use them. My friend collects them, puts them back. This happens a third time. And throughout all of this, my friend doesn't have a workout sheet. He doesn't know what these guys are doing. He was not given any heads up on anything about the workout. He's just kind of trying his best to coach what he sees and react that way. He did not collect the bands fast enough on the third time of them using the bands.
Yeah, can't do that.
And so, without knowing that they were done with the bands, all of a sudden this strength coach is yelling across the room, "Hey, intern, I said," and he's swearing and stuff. I'm not going to swear for the sake of the podcast.
Appreciate it.
"I said pick up the bands." And the room gets silent. And someone looks at my buddy and he goes, "Dude, just pick up the bands." And
Wait, one of the kids on the team?
yeah,
One of the players?
dude,
Yeah,
just
seriously.
pick up the bands.
Simple enough.
And and my buddy was like, you know what? Why do any of these people deserve my time here if after 6 times of introducing myself, you still call me intern? If you're going to yell at me and badmouth me in front of the entire team when you can't give me a simple overview of what's going on or any responsibilities. So my buddy just decided he was going to not be a part of interning at that program.
So, right move or wrong move?
Right move. I definitely think that was the right move for him, just because, there's a certain way to treat people, and my buddy could be the smartest guy in the world and not know how to, he could be the smartest guy in the world, know how to do everything in strength and conditioning, and he shouldn't have been treated that way, and he could know 0 things about strength and conditioning. He could not have any understanding of how to train people, and he still should not be treated that way, because knowing names, learning names, it can be tough, it can be hard, you can forget people's names, but calling someone intern repeatedly and then not showing an effort to learn their name, I think that's pretty unacceptable. I think if you have an intern and you're, these coaches get interns, it's free work. They're not paying for these interns. These interns come here because they're in college, they need to do internships, and it's free labor pretty much. So instead of feeling like these interns owe you all this, whatever, think about like, okay, these are people that are helping me for free pretty much. How can I use them to best
Just
help,
to the best, like,
best help the
utilize
program?
leverage
Right.
to your advantage.
Right. And so there was no personable aspect to how they were treating these interns, and I just think it's a waste of your time. I think it would be foolish for Ryan, my friend, to stay there and just be repeatedly referred to as intern, being badmouthed in front of athletes. How do you gain respect from athletes if you're going to be yelled at in front of them on a day that you don't even technically have to be there?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I wanted to write some things down before I forgot, just because the story. There's a few things I like. There's a Tom Landry, the old football coach. Was it him? It was either Tom Landry with the Cowboys, or you know what? No, it was Lombardi and Bart Starr at the quarterback. I'm pretty sure that it was Lombardi. He yelled at Bart Starr in front of the team, and Bart Starr went into his office and was like, "Don't ever do that again." He's like, "This is my team. These guys they're not gonna respect me if they see you treat me like a dog. So if you want me the leader of this team, if I'm like," he's calling the plays every Sunday back in those days. He's like, "If you want me to be the man that you expect me to be, like, don't put me down in front of the other guys because they're gonna think I'm a clown then."
Right.
So that was one thing I was thinking about. We talk about our boy Jocko a lot. No bad teams, just bad leaders.
Right.
So you want to create a bad team atmosphere, a bad team environment, then you treat people that way. Expecting somebody to know how to do something is probably just a bad sign. Like, you should almost just come in. These kids are new. Like, just train them.
Right.
Every system, you talked about being a good person. You see people that run gyms, businesses, whatever, hire good people and then train them.
Right.
Because somebody could be super knowledgeable, but if they're a terrible person, they're not going to help.
Right.
You can know everything in the world, but if you're an a-hole, then that's not a benefit to the team. So you hire good people, and then you train the good people to do what you want them to do.
And if you invest in the help you're getting, if you take a little bit out of your time to help them understand what's going on, understand expectations, understand how they can help, that's going to pay off tenfold in the long run because they want to be there. They want to do your system as best as they can to help you. So,
and there was this weird run too. You might be up to date more with some of these NCAA strength coaches, but I remember the guy in Iowa. He was the first $1 million strength coach, I think, and he had more than 2 people, I think, collapse for rhabdo. He's not there anymore. I think he might have tried to get to Urban Meyer with the Jaguars, but the guy said some racist things there.
Yeah.
Got canned from that. I forget his name. But, he was that most high pro, the most whatever. He was the highest paid, so he was obviously the most desired, I guess, in the NCAA if that school decided they were going to give him that. And then there's some other examples, too, of some of these strength coaches kind of overstepping their bounds. And I don't know what would explain that more than probably the ego situation,
yeah.
Like, you put somebody in some sort of position of power, and they'll just eventually, most people anyway, will probably take advantage of that.
Yeah.
I heard Aaron Rodgers was telling a story on a Joe Rogan podcast. That was funny. It was a homeowners association. Do you know what that is?
No.
It's basically a group that, like, if you live in this neighborhood, things that you want to do to your house has to get approved by this association.
Yeah.
So they made this one guy put 5 different color paints on his garage. So he put 5 strips on his garage. They all came over and looked at it. Then they had to vote on which color they preferred. Then some 80-year-old woman was like, there's not enough votes for that color. You have to come back next month. So the dude had to keep the stuff. Yeah, this 80-year-old woman, you gave her a little bit of power to make a decision, and she took advantage of that. There's other examples that are more crazy. But, yeah, that stuff's kind of well documented in terms of, you just put people in positions of power, and it's just going to keep creeping into this crazy situation. But that ego thing, we were talking about it last week with Maurice and a friend. Mike Tyson had this interview, and they like, hey, do you work out? He was like, no. He's like, why? He's like, because it unleashes something inside me that I don't like. Like that ego, he said he becomes an animal. Then he signs on to fight Roy Jones Jr. in an exhibition a couple months later, and he starts training, dude. He went from this guy that was just getting high all the time to now he's training, he's running, he's hitting the bags. He was like a ferocious animal.
Yeah.
Because I think the ego starts to get involved. I've seen guys, we were down in Florida, walk in the room, they start playing ping pong. They disregard everything. They start acting like savages, all because of competition.
Right.
And where does the competition come from? It's like you're trying to serve your ego. Well, you just put everything else off. Like these guys, these hyper-competitive, like Jordan, whatever, it's like their lives could be a potential mess.
Yeah.
Because what drives them is like this desire to be better than other people.
Yeah.
I think that happens in coaching a lot.
I think there's merit to some form of an ego, because I think an ego that's kept in check keeps you competitive when necessary, but also, again, keeping your ego in check, when it's time to peel back or reel back or whatever, just realize, what, there's a lot I don't know, and I need to listen to this person right now and learn from them, or I need to, I think an ego allows you to, like in tough situations, say, you know what, like if anyone can do this, I can do this right now because of this kind of idea you have of yourself, but at the same time, it's not always good.
I don't know, Steve-O, that's a tough one.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to just say, oh yeah, it depends and keep it in balance, but I mean, like if Ryan, my buddy's name is Ryan. If my buddy has this idea of himself of, you know what, like if anyone can do something right now, I can do it. Maybe he can bear through a poor internship or put up with a little bit more just because he wants to prove to himself that he can do something. But at the same time, not having an ego that puts other people down and makes others think that this guy thinks he's better than himself or better than others.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Tough situation.
Yeah, tough one.
Youngster.
Tough one.
I probably wouldn't work there either, I don't think.
Yeah.
Probably,
No.
maybe that's probably why I work by myself, because I don't want to even potentially deal with any of that ever. It gets messy, man.
Yeah.
Any kind of coaching staffs, that always shows up. Every year that I've coached football, it's part of the reason I stopped. There's just like, Jesus, what is going on here? All in the name of winning a high school football game with 15-year-olds, that you're going to act like a total a-hole. You're going to say terrible things about kids. You might curse at a kid. You might, I don't want to say push a kid. You know, I never really saw that, but like there's people that'll do stuff like that. And it's the only time that things like that are allowed. It's like if a teacher talked to a student in the same way that some football coaches talk to a player, they would just lose their job.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it doesn't matter. People in the crowd, I saw a dad arguing with a college kid, and I'm like, I coached the college kid, and I was just like, dude, what are you doing? Oh, he's down there, he's saying this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, who cares? You would kill this guy. Like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
It didn't make any sense
Yeah.
to me that a 20-year-old who is playing college football, don't know if he could fight at all, but I know he's strong as an ox, like, and some, like, 40-year-old dude ready to get into fights in the stands at a high school game. I was like, what is going on here? It
Yeah.
doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, that's just one side of it. And I think it all just serves, that ego, man.
Yeah.
Like, you want to be the best. You want your team to win. You know, you got CEOs of companies probably fighting people at a college football game because their alma mater got disrespected. You know, it's like, or you go to an Eagles game, man, you got the hat on, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they were booing Santa Claus like a couple decades
Oh,
ago.
man.
There's people throwing beer at each other. Kids are getting beers dumped on their head. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? All in the name of sport, I guess, right, Steve-O?
Yeah. Pretty crazy
You had a
stuff.
big milestone, I heard, man. You got your pops pumping some iron?
Yeah. Finally
Let's
got
hear
my
about
dad
it.
working
Give
out.
the background. Give the
Um,
background. How many decades of no exercise?
No planned exercise, probably 50 years.
So he never did an actual exercise?
Or no,
probably.
I'll give him 40 because he used to do swimming of some sort or had
Alright.
had hobbies that
How do we word this in a way? I mean, he's active with, like,
he would
no weights.
right, he wouldn't weight train or whatever. I mean, he'd stay pretty active of doing yard work and stuff, which is some sort of physical demands to do.
I'd
Which
say movement's important.
yeah, like his daily living activities or whatever. There's some phrase I learned in college that
Non-exercise activities, NEAT, it's an acronym.
it's like activities of daily living. That's what it is. His activities of daily living
You get that, huh?
involve more like whether you're working outside and I don't know chopping wood or stuff like that. Like that's
Yeah,
physical
real manly
activity.
stuff, chainsaw and things.
But he's never really lifted. He used to do. We have an elliptical machine, and he used to do that maybe 5 years back or so, but got away from that. That was in our basement, and he's just like, yeah, I don't want to do that in our basement. And I was like, okay, well, I'll move this upstairs if we have to, just so you can start doing some sort of activity. He's like, okay, so me and my brother moved that upstairs. We got that. I got some bands and stuff, which is some sort of resistance training.
Who
And
cleans up the bands when he's done with them?
I was like,
Do you have
hey,
somebody,
intern,
Yeah.
pick up the bands.
Do you have somebody over there to clean up the bands?
No, believe it or not, he's able to clean up after himself.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
It's a good skill to have.
It's good that he can do it and the college athletes are unable to do it for themselves at that other place.
I think the guy, was he just messing with them?
No, I don't know.
You know, like, the coach obviously knew that the bands were going to have to come out again.
I don't know. I
You
don't
know what I'm saying? Was this
I-
tough love? Some people be like, hey, man, he's an intern. He's going to deal with that crap.
It's a bad method. There's probably
I'm
better
not
ways
saying
to
it's a
do
good
it.
method.
There's probably better ways to do it.
Sorry, but you're getting your dad on the program.
Yeah,
What's
I
he
got my
He
dad on the
Has he got a
program.
kettlebell?
So he's not using the kettlebell yet. Kettlebell's 70 pounds, and I don't think my dad's capable of
If he had to.
doing too much. Yeah, if he had to, he could probably deadlift it. But
For
other
sure.
than that, he's not too strong. So just got him on. We did some band rows, just teaching him how to move in a rowing pattern. So he's pulling his scap back and stuff like that. Just body weight squats because he's never really had to bend like that before.
How many reps?
Just 10. 10 would.
How many sets?
So we did 3 sets of 10 of bodyweight squats, of band rows, and of push-ups on an incline. So he was doing push-ups on the edge of a couch, and that was what I had him doing for just 3 times a week. It took maybe 10 minutes for him to do, 15 minutes for him to do, but it was what I felt was the best way for him to do something that could build into more of a habit, because if it was going to take 60 minutes, it's a big endeavor for him to do. It's tough to be like, okay, I have to find 60 minutes of my day to put aside for this new habit that I don't even necessarily enjoy. But because it was 10 minutes, it was something he could do of, okay, I have 10 minutes of free time, I'm going to go.
That he doesn't even enjoy.
Well, but he's starting to enjoy it a little bit. He's talked to me about, you know what, I actually do feel a little bit better after I exercise. I'm starting to feel a little bit stronger and stuff. And
Who would have thought?
yeah, who would have thought? And I've been trying to get him to do this stuff since I was in high school, and he'd say, all right, well, you're going to college for this, so when you're in college, I'll start it up. And then I was in college. All right, well, once you get your degree, then I'll start doing
Well,
this.
he didn't trust you as a trainer.
I
till
don't
you
know.
got the degree.
I don't know, but
He wanted to see the credentials.
I guess so.
You know, just to get into that a little bit, do you have any weights or no that he could use?
5-pound kettlebell, and then a 70-pound kettlebell. So I'm slowly looking to expand the home gym, but right now there's not too much going on. And then I have a couple bands of different thickness levels, so that just the different tensions. So
I got an idea for you.
what's up? What's the idea?
We're trying to maximize time.
Yeah.
Something, maybe mobility, maybe band related, like a strength move, and then have him carry something.
Yeah.
Mix in a different. That's kind of what I started doing, and like, I think if you ever get to a point where you have some weights, I'll talk about it here. Anyway, you do a strength move, almost a mobility move, and then a carry where you just carry something for distance, right? So in week 1, it's like you do 1 set of 25 reps of whatever the strength move is. Week 2, 2 sets of 15. Week 3, 3 sets of 8. Week 4, 4 sets of 5. So you're in between 20 and 30 reps always. The sets of 25 are miserable. I don't really back squat. I mean, just doing 95 pounds for 25 after never back squatting really ever, always front squatting. Like, I got sore, and I was like, God damn, this is going to suck. Because you want to go up. You do that 3 times a week. You do it Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You go up and weight, whatever. So sets of 25 are miserable. 2 sets of 15 are not that great. 3 sets of 8, as long as you're adding resistance, hard. But the thing is then, if you're doing 3 sets of 8 or 4 sets of 5, you're doing that many carries as well in between. So it kind of builds up your grip and kind of builds up this like foundation strength, all while you're trying to like maybe teach and introduce, and you can still work some strength, still work mobility, and you do some carries. I feel like, I mean, for me now, doing the 3 sets of 8, it's 45 minutes, which is too much, maybe for your dad, but you could add some, could add distance potentially to, so there's like no breaks then. Like, just go carry something. It's not too demanding. I've started doing it with adults, which we'll go over those standards then and how we've been kind of going over that with people too. But I just think it's a way to, I think it's a nice, easy way to get extra work in, I think.
Yeah. So
And because he hasn't worked out, he probably could use some mobility stuff. That's probably why you're doing some band stuff or just getting into a squat.
Teaching him, because, I mean, as an athlete, it took me a while to learn how to do something like a row without, like I use my bicep for a lot of rowing instead of realizing how to use.
That's why you're jacked.
6 years of doing rows incorrectly has actually had a good outcome.
Well, you got the row and you got the RDL, the hip hinge. Those are probably the hardest things sometimes to teach a new person that doesn't bend at all.
Right.
They might have bent at their knees to pick something up, but in terms of hinging properly without like rounding forward to go to the ground, I think those were always tough for me to teach like kids, trying to get them to like, whatever, sit back and try to just feel a hamstring stretch a little bit. Not just collapse the spine into stuff. And I think with the row, you got like the forward shoulder thing.
So that was teaching him to keep his shoulder back was interesting. And then I just kind of had the plan, all right, first week, he's just going to do 3 sets of 10 for 3 days this week, and we will go from there was my idea of like, okay, maybe we add in more sets, add in more exercises or whatever. But kind of by himself, he was just like, 10 was kind of easy, so I did 12, and then I'm planning to do 15 the next week or whatever. So I kind of let him, I was like, okay, you know what, if you're up for it, because the push-ups on the couch were pretty tough for him, but then he said, yeah, I did 12 this week, and then a week went by or whatever, and he said, yeah, I was able to do 15 this week. And so it's kind of what he wanted to do to measure his improvements, so I was just like, okay, that's fine. He's gotten up to, I think he did 3 sets of 25 now of things. So it's kind of the reverse of what
I
you
know,
were saying
that's
with
what,
your plan.
like, I would do that too, I think. So this was like this. Yeah, it's literally the opposite, where it's like, hey, let's start with 5 reps, see if you could do 5 sets of 5 on that. But instead it's like, let's do 25 and then just work the bar down. Because now if it's still the push-up, you go, you know, from
Right.
Hip height to mid-thigh to mid-knee, or sorry, not mid-knee, just the knee. And then you go to shin level and then maybe to the ground. So now you're building up, hopefully you're building up a good, kind of like a muscular endurance thing, but also just the patterning
Right.
is proper.
Right.
And then you add resistance, you add more difficulty over time. And then also the simplicity with it is like week 1 you do 1 set, week 2 2 sets, week 3 3 sets, week 4 4 sets. I'm probably going to reboot it again. I'm approaching the week 4 now. But it's like some stuff to loosen up the spine, shoulders,
Yeah.
hips, things like that in between. So you're still getting work in, you're still moving around, there's no idle time, and you know, you're getting stronger, you're stretching, and you're doing some carries, which I think is nice.
Right.
But it's all a starting point. Now, where do you go from there? That's a question. Like, let's say you have somebody that's new.
So like where
We
should
need
they be
levels.
at?
We need levels. We
Yeah.
need standards.
Yeah.
And I send you a link. My boy Dan John has these standards that are number 7. The 7s are like difficult. Like, I'm not there. That's what I'm training for right now, is to get a 7.
Not
across the
difficult
board.
for all of us, but
You can't overhead squat your body weight for 15 reps.
probably not.
Can you do a military press with your body weight?
No.
Can you barbell deadlift 2.5 times your body weight?
Yeah.
2.5 times from the floor,
Yeah.
straight bar.
Yes.
Weighted pull up with 48 kilos,
48 kilos.
100 pounds, 105.
No, yeah, no. I'm just
105.6, I
under
think.
that.
All right,
Close.
so that's the end part. Right now, if we go to part 1 now, which is like the new person. Proper form in the goblet squat, can you do that? Cool. The push-up, can you do 10 good ones?
Yes.
All right. Not you, I'm just saying in general, but
Oh.
thanks for answering. Hip hinge with a proper form. From standing, from the floor, with loaded, with a little bit of weight, right? Can you do that? Dan John has these bat wings, face down, you know, you pull up and squeeze.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like this introductory thing, and then you just kind of build from there. Goblet squat with 50 pounds for 10. You know, so now you're like, hey, I can only do my body weight for 10.
So it's
How do we get
goals.
to 50?
Or levels, so it allows
just
you.
levels.
Yeah, it allows you to know where you're at and know where you're trying to get next.
Yeah, and you know, obviously number 4 is a good place to be for some of these, and this was just based off of the recommendations that this guy, Dan John, who's been coaching for 40 plus years has. Now the thing is, like, being able to use this in small groups with adults, because everybody can do a different squat. You know, so for one person it might be, let me look at the female one real quick. You know, somebody might have to do 25 pound, we're working towards doing 25 pounds for 10 reps on a goblet squat. Somebody else could crush that. They might be able to back squat 135 for 5. So then the next goal would be like, hey, you're gonna back squat, but you wanna try to be able to back squat your body weight. So you could back squat, you could goblet squat, and then this person over here could front squat, say with 2 kettlebells maybe. So they're all squatting, but their squats are all different, you know? So every 4 or 5 weeks, you just kind of reevaluate and see if we're able to check another box somewhere.
Yeah.
But I think it's important because it gave a sense of purpose to some of the adult programming. Because like with the kids stuff, it was always, you know, we're tracking our weights, we're having cards, we're trying to get a little bit better with stuff. Adults, I was kind of lacking that. So even if you're somebody that's new, like say, you know, how your father was with absolutely nothing, it's
Right.
like, we're starting at the ground level, you're doing a body weight squat, but then this other person over there might be working towards something more complex. So for you, you might be working on your overhead squat for 15 reps with your body weight. Meanwhile, this guy over there is trying to get, you know, 10 or 15, or no, 10 good reps, say with a 20 kilogram or whatever, 50 pounder, whatever it may be. I found some value in this. And Stephen poo-pooed these standards when I first sent it to him. He's like, yeah, I'm a 6 in almost everything. This stuff's easy. And I said,
Well, I've
cool.
trained the last 9 years of my life playing
It's a good
college
example.
sports and stuff.
And
So
you're still not a 7.
right.
Me too. I got more than maybe 7 years experience. And I looked at this thing and I'm like, I got some work to do yet. The deadlift's gonna be, I'm not a deadlifter.
No?
No. I'm looking at my weight. I gotta get 470 off
Yeah.
the floor.
Yeah,
I'm using that.
or cut some weight.
Yeah, then it's 465. You know, unless I drop 20, and then things get a little different. But anyhow, I'm using a hook grip. You ever use a hook grip?
I tried. It hurts.
I know.
It sucks.
After every set, I go like, son of a bitch, and I'm like, smack my hands around, just on the last set, the heaviest set. But then last time I was gonna message my buddy Frank, who I should need to talk to again at some point here. We talked about the hook grip, and I was almost gonna text him like, hey, do you ever just yell not? You ever not yell curse words after your last set? And I didn't last time, so I'm like, maybe I'm making some progress here.
Nice.
But still, I'm still like 80, 90 pounds away from my goal. I'm doing sets of 8.
Would you say that's like a 5.5 doing your lift without swearing after it?
On this sheet,
Yeah, one of the standards.
the standards, you know,
Just
I could.
performing it without vulgar language.
That's not on here. You're allowed to curse, I think. I think Dan will allow that. But yeah, man. So we're just trying to work towards something. What are you working towards now that you got 9 years as an athlete? Is that what you said? 9 years in the game.
Some like that of strength
So you're
training.
trying to get ready for a sports performance. You got a game on the week, Friday nights in high school, Saturdays in college. Now you're an adult. You got a job. You're still in school.
Yeah,
You just got a CS.
I did. So now I'm kind of working towards. I want to live a life that I am strong and I want to stay athletic. And I also kind of think my purpose now for lifting has kind of shifted towards, I don't know if experimenting is the right word, but I want to try out new things. I want to be able to have a bunch of tools to use for training the teams that I train. And I want to be able to know what they're experiencing while they're training. And I think the best way for me to do that is to do what I program for the other athletes. So I know, you know what, this might look good on paper, but this sucks to do, or this is logistically really tough to do if you have 20 people in a weight room. So
So you're just doing the programs that you create?
yeah, that's kind of where I'm going.
What sport program are you working on right now?
Basketball, men's basketball right
So
now.
what's the goal with them?
So it's actually pretty interesting because I got to see them for the first time yesterday,
Yeah.
and I got to see kind of their testing protocol. So
Yeah, talk about that.
I
Talk
saw-
about what they tested.
I saw them test their bench press, saw them test their squats. I saw them military press, do some chin-ups, do some dips, and my understanding was just that there's a whole lot of they have high ceilings, or the sky's the limit for them, just because of where they're at now. They have the ability to improve a lot. They have the ability to gain some more upper body strength. They have the ability to maybe ease back on the numbers for squatting and instead kind of move a little bit better, because basketball players, they're kind of locked into their stance or whatever when they have to guard somebody. So their hips are pretty stiff, so which I can relate to. It's tough.
You know, when somebody's legs are in proportion to their torso, long femurs
Yeah.
is what some people like to talk about in the strength world.
Yeah.
They just can't. They can't get in those deep squat positions. They can't even getting into some bent over row type positions. It just looks a little funky.
Right.
You know, so you got to deal with that, and then you also got to deal with what, the 5'11" guard maybe, or that,
Right,
You know,
who-
the 6-foot guy, and you got a 6'8" guy,
Yeah.
and it's all training, right? But everybody's training might look a little different in terms of what kind of positions they could get into.
Right.
How do you assess a squat? If I missed that, sorry.
So
You just want them to get their butt to knee level, or is there like?
I don't even know if I would say I look at it as where they. I don't have a standard right now of like I want every person to always get the parallel, or I want it,
All right,
hip below the
I
knee.
got something here, Steve.
Okay.
Sorry. I got this theory, man. The internet. Familiar with it?
Yeah.
I see some people that could get in these incredible positions. Like I could probably squat with my butt to my heels right now, I can get out of bed and maybe do that.
Yeah.
For you, it was always a challenge,
Right.
So you see these people online that, or just coaches in general that are like, hey, I can get my butt down on my knee, I can get down here. So their whole life they had this mobility, they had this flexibility.
Yeah.
They don't understand the person that doesn't have it.
Yeah.
And I think they might end up missing the boat on that. The super flexible guy that can put their hands on the ground, like palms flat,
Yeah.
straight knee. Like I can't do that. So for that individual, like things come easy for him, So to teach, to not have like just the whole, just that like, your experience is different than somebody else's, and just to know that and understand that and be able to teach that, I think is kind of important.
I think it's helped me be able to teach it because of how
Is it terrible?
yeah, how terrible my ability to move was.
Worse?
And I've had to work on it.
Maybe the worst I've ever seen. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, there was nobody worse than my squat depth.
Could be true.
But I worked on it, and it's helped me feel better, move better. I believe that it's probably helped my performance. It's probably helped me stay healthy, being able to move a little bit better, having strength and more ranges of motion might have helped me stay healthy when performing.
There's another thing too here. This comes up with working with kids and adults and parents. Like they talk about being flexible, and to a point, yes, but you want some stiffness.
You're right.
You want some stiffness because it's not gonna. That super flexible yoga person, they're not the ones winning the races. It's that person that's a little bit tight that they can fire that muscle quick.
Right.
And I remember it was, I talk about this guy often. My boy Charlie Francis, the coach, the track guy.
Yeah.
He would literally put his hands on people, and he would be able to tell by their muscle. He would do massage and stuff and be like, too loose, too tight, whatever. He'd be able to tell just by getting in there and feeling it. And the tone is what he said. I think it's that ability to fire. If it's too flexible or too lax, it's not going to fire as quickly and as efficiently as you want to. And even with that tone thing that they talk about, some kids that are born with, certain brain firing issues,
Yeah.
It's not able to send the signal in a quick, efficient way. They have low tone, which means they just heavy-footed, can't move fast, stuff like that. So you want some stiffness, but you also want to be able to get into a deep squat,
So I
or
think
not a deep squat, but you just want to be good. I think good enough in that position almost sometimes.
I think there's an overemphasis on flexibility or whatever, and I think a better way to look at it is mobility, because
So then
flexibility is.
What would be the difference then? What do you call that?
So flexibility would be, how flexible is my hamstring if I'm laying on the ground? How high up can my hamstring go off the ground? And that might be one way that people assess, like, okay, well, this person's not flexible. They probably don't perform well. Well, I have had stiff hamstrings, but I've been able to perform decently well. I've had decent numbers. I've had decent sprint times and stuff. Maybe flexibility would make it better, but maybe there's something more important to look at is how mobile am I? So once I'm actually being active and running and stuff, do I have compensatory patterns and stuff to make up for it? Or how do I, because...
I get what you're saying. With, you got the kid or the person that can't lift their leg up, so they have to hunch.
Right.
You see that running thing, and they'll have to do that. They're doing a high knee run, and they can't keep a good posture upright and do it.
Yeah.
So they have to something like that, right?
Yeah.
If that's showing up, that would probably need to be corrected.
Right.
And I also think that muscle, you can't make your muscle longer, but it's like tenderizing meat almost, because it's like, your hip to knee, it's not changing.
Right.
Like the distance is the same, but it's just, I guess the treatment of the muscle per se, like. People say you got a piece of beef jerky that's real stick and brittle, break apart,
Yeah.
or you got that piece of steak that you tenderize a little bit. And
Right.
I think you need to be mindful of how you take care of your muscles and not just maybe hit it from a few different angles. You're talking about trying to improve the mobility in the joints, but then also maybe treat the muscle itself with who knows what. I
Right.
don't
So,
know.
but then there's the other things that go into it too. Of did this person warm up or not? Because, speaking from my own experience, I get my body temperature up and I start doing more dynamic stuff, and I feel like my flexibility increases a lot, or my ability to get into different positions increases a lot once I warm up. I practice these positions just a little bit even, and
What's your thoughts on people that stretch in the morning?
definitely, I would never do that. You can never find me stretching in the morning. No, Actually, I read a thing that talked about stretching in the morning and the
Was it positive?
the pull on the spine or something like that, or the
Spines?
torque on your spine.
What is
because
it?
of
What is better, not stretching at all, or stretching in the mornings?
Probably not stretching. I think so. I'm not a huge fan of flexibility training in itself.
Hold on, then. If you're gonna read a book, and you're sitting down, you want to sit on some soft, comfortable thing, and be all scrunched over it, or do you want to sit on the floor, which is a little bit uncomfortable, which requires you to sit in good posture?
So my answer would be I want to sit on the comfy thing. And because
Dude, that's what kids these days, man. Just want to be comfortable all the time. Here's what you got to do. You got to sit on the floor. You got to be you got to sit on a hard surface, and then it forces you to sit in good postures. Do you know this? You ever see the what
well,
country?
you know my thoughts on books, so
You know the dojo. You enter the dojo. No, I'm just kidding. But you go into somebody's house and like, I don't know where. I saw it in a movie probably, so it could not even be true. Some sort of Japanese culture, Chinese culture. You know, you sit on the ground.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, to eat.
You know, yeah. So force it. Sit on the ground cross-legged. You're slouching like this. You're gonna feel it. So you're like, all right, I'm gonna sit uncomfortably like this, cross-legged, or I'm just gonna sit cross-legged with good posture. Might as well enjoy a good book while I'm doing it.
Yeah,
That's my stretching story.
fair enough.
Is that stretching?
Could be.
What
Yeah,
if I sit with one leg out, up nice and tall on my tailbone, feeling a little hammy stretch?
yeah,
Is that a stretch?
that's
Or is
stretching.
that just sitting?
If you're feeling a stretch, that's stretching. So pretty much, I guess most of my life I'm stretching. But I think it's good to lift and get full range of motion that way. I think that really helps. That's helped my mobility a lot. Is like an RDL. I couldn't touch my toes, but the more I practice doing an RDL and slowly getting a little bit more range of motion each time with some weight, I think that's helped me gain mobility, gain flexibility, and also be strong in these positions too.
And you got the joints too. There's like tissue, a ball and socket joint, say.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just doesn't move
Right, yeah.
smoothly. So you use some of those things. We'll bring up the bands again. If only we had somebody to clean those things up. But you could do some like dislocation type things where it pulls the hip joint out or the shoulder. It creates a little space by pulling it out of the socket a little bit. And sometimes that's all that people need. Like their muscles, say, might be flexible, but if things are jammed up or in that around that joint, say, you got to create a little space in there to allow it to move. Sometimes people don't have that space in there. Maybe it's from injury, maybe it's not. Maybe they're just born that way. Lady Gaga. But you might have been born just with
I think
stiffness in the sockets and the joints and all that.
all around, I think that's kind of how my body is, because there'd be times where people would tell me, don't you stretch? And
Stretching
there's
doesn't get
time
it
periods
done.
where I would stretch I spent an entire summer, I would stretch every day, and I didn't really see improvements in some of these things. And it was because I wasn't necessarily feeling a stretch, not getting into a full squat or stuff. It was because I feel a pinching sensation in either it's my hips or my ankles. And I ended up learning, it's because my actual joints were so stiff,
Yeah,
the
man.
bones would
It's like
prevent each
locked.
other from
They're
moving.
like locked,
Yeah. Yeah.
Even the ankle, you got a stiff ankle. Like I could move. Well, I think we talked about this before too. It's like I could get into these deep positions, say, but sometimes my ankles, I think, are protecting something. So it's like even if the joint is capable, even if the muscles around it are capable, if you have something going on up the chain in your body, somewhere in your body, your ankle might get stiff to protect it. If your knee's not right, it's a little sore maybe. Like maybe your other joints are going to kind of protect that knee by either getting really stiff and tight, not letting that knee bend too much. It's like your body's just internal mechanisms are just going to try to protect that knee a little bit so you don't further injure it. And I think that happens too sometimes.
Yeah.
With like, the next joint up, might need, if you have an issue in your hip, you might have to do something at the knee. Or if your knee's bothering you, it might be the hip or the ankle. Then you might have to loosen up in order to
Right.
create space in there and all that. So it's kind of interesting how everything's kind of interconnected. And, it's never one thing. And that's one thing to worry about too, I guess, when you're coaching and doing stuff like that, is like, anybody that's like black or white on stuff, I think, I don't want to listen to them because, our daughter was sick when she was very young, and it's like, 95% of medicine is kind of this gray area, right? There's these rare cases where you kind of know, but you never know. Somebody gets sick, right? What's causing it? Is it gonna, if somebody's telling you it's one thing, you know, there's a local doctor, we'll call him, a doctor. You know the guy.
Yeah.
So, somebody I know goes into this guy. He's like, hey, show me a good posture. Stands up. Is that really how you stand? Is that your posture? Really? You know, stuff like that. And she's like, maybe. Then starts being critical of what she wears on her feet. She's never going to get her thing fixed, wherever she has pain fixed, if she keeps doing this, that, and the other thing. And we're just like telling her what she was doing wrong the whole time, what she needed to do, and it was just like a black or white thing. We asked her, are you going to go back? No. She didn't like the vibe. It was poor.
Poor vibes.
Poor vibe, judgmental evaluation, and like...
People don't like to be judged.
Your buddy doesn't. The intern. But you know what, though? It's like, you know, the black and white thing, man. It's like, is there right and wrong, I think, in your behavior? Yeah, but like, hey, I just did an RDL. Is that right? It's like, kind of.
Right.
It looks good.
Right.
Can it be better? Yeah. You know, nothing's ever perfect, I don't think. You know, feeling on any viewpoint, really, it's like, if you don't allow yourself the ability to like develop and mold it, then what are you doing?
Right.
There's no growth.
You gotta always be able to grow.
I'm with you. So how the hell did we start talking about that? What was I talking about? Bad vibes in the doctor, black and white stuff. You know, I guess just coaching in
Mobility
general.
and everything.
Yeah, like, you know, you're gonna have people that'll be like, hey, this is the way. You gotta stretch. You gotta do yoga. You know, you're gonna have to do the Kelly Starrett supple leopard mobility stuff, right, with the bands and all that. But you can't put, like we talked about, the different sizes of people on the basketball team. It's like, you cannot say what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Sometimes it is, right?
Well, people love to be like, so-and-so did this, and therefore this is how you should do it. And from a scientific perspective, it's like n equals 1. You have one test subject, and
Solid.
when you do science,
bro.
when you do science, the whole point of science is get as many subjects as you can to
Tough
help
for
you
debate
kinda...
these days, Steve. That's tough for
Well,
debate.
science.
I'm not getting into it now.
But
We'll call that conspiracy. I gotta have a conspiracy theorist podcast, I think. Where I just found the craziest people that want to come in and talk about like flat Earth and what else is going on? Chemtrails. You know what chemtrails are?
no,
We're not.
new podcast.
Yeah, it's coming up soon, I think. But yeah, I mean, you got to be able to adapt as a coach, and you got to work the room. You got to know the room. Talk to my boy Matt Gorkas, pastor. He's in another line of work. And what we try to do, Steve-O, I don't know if you listen to it yet. This guy Ray Oldenburg. This is like my new fascinating thought. 1989 talked about the third place, the village, the town.
Oh, I read this, or read your
Yeah,
newsletter on
but
this.
it's gone. You know, people are distant now, and what we want to do, and I'm like, I think I might provide a third place for kids. You know, or at least I want to provide a third place for kids. Sports provide a third place.
You coached my third place when I was in high school.
So with Matt, he's a pastor. The church is his third place. He wants to create an environment there where people feel comfortable to come in, where they could talk and be open about things. He's not going to judge people. You know, he talked about taking this like AA approach where they say, you know, the first day is, hey, I'm an alcoholic. They let everybody know what the worst thing that they've ever done is, and everybody else has been down their same road, and everybody else is going to be there for that person to like raise up. So at his church, he wants everybody to understand, like, we're all sinners here. We've all done bad. But people feel it's that ego thing. They don't want to share. They don't want to share the bad stuff that they did because they think other people are going to judge them.
Right.
So what does that serve? I think it serves the ego again. Anyhow, when we are creating an environment here, we're trying to create the third place for people to come into. It has to be a welcoming place. It has to be a place where, you know, they could come in here and talk to us about something or ask, hey, could I do this, that, or the other thing? And I think, you know, some of the stuff that you do with the college, you know, they're going to have their classwork, they're going to have their family time, they have their sport, you know, training for the sport, you kind of lump all that in there, so you want to create that great thing for them. And how do you do it? You know, you don't treat people like crap. You work with the room. It's like if you want to benefit the room the most, you gotta understand the room, I think.
Right.
The most, you know,
Right.
you gotta understand where everybody's coming from. You don't do that by not listening. You don't do that by being judgmental towards the kid over there that can't touch his toes, or
Right.
hey guys, look at this dude. He can't even
Yeah.
do a push-up. You know, stuff like that. That's not gonna work ever. I'm gonna come at you with rapid fire stuff.
All right.
Youth sports. Stories I've heard in the last month,
Yeah.
and I need you to just give it to me straight.
Okay.
6-year-olds shaking their booties. Their cheerleading coaches telling 6-year-old girls to shake their booties during a sideline dance.
Probably.
And pretending to hike their skirt up towards the crowd.
Yeah, that's probably not good.
Are you in or you out?
Out.
Flag football coaches yelling at the kids on their team. Are you in or you out?
Any more context?
No. No need.
I'm out.
Flag football coach saying, "Hey, this team, they can't beat you. They shouldn't be able to score a point against you," during the middle of the game. So both sides could hear it. Is that your style? Is that going to help?
That's not my style.
Is that going to help?
It's not my style.
Is that creating a positive third place?
Probably not. It's
You-
great. It's great. You go, things can't be black and white, and then you're expecting me to give a black and white answer now to all of these.
Opinion. Are you in or you out?
For what?
Well, you obviously didn't like that way that guy
No.
did to Ryan Hollab. Ah! But you obviously didn't like the way that guy
Yeah, no,
spoke.
I did not.
You obviously had an opinion on that.
Correct.
Are you in on yelling at kids?
I think there's a very brief time
Who
that
have you
it's
ever yelled at?
acceptable.
Who have you ever yelled at? When is it acceptable to yell at somebody?
When someone's hitting somebody else.
So we have to differentiate. Are you raising your voice or are you yelling at them? Yelling at them in my mind is like, hey.
Oh, yeah, no,
Like,
I guess
raising
I
your
don't.
voice to get attention. Like there was kids over here once, Emmy and a friend. They hit each other by the door, and I was like, "Yo!" And they all stopped and looked over, and I'm like, "We are not hitting in here."
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of what I do. So I guess I'm raising my voice, not
Yelling
yelling.
would be like, "Why would you block that kid and hold him when we just scored a touchdown and you took it off the board? What's wrong with you?"
Yeah, no, I don't do that.
Now, this is where we're going to get tricky here because you played football your whole life and you love it. What's your thoughts on giving out stickers on the helmet for certain achievements?
I think it's cool, but I also think you should do it in a way that everyone can equally earn stickers.
Like a participation trophy.
No, I would say the sticker should
All right.
represent something more than
Oh yeah, hold on. Hold that thought.
more than something physical.
Don't hold that thought. What's your thoughts on 8-year-olds being rewarded with stickers for filling up the stat sheet, tackles, touchdowns, whatever it may be,
I don't think.
receptions?
I don't know if giving stickers is the right way to do that.
Just say it.
I think
Just
there's.
go with it. You're right. I think.
Yeah, no.
What would you rather reward?
I would rather reward the.
What
I
are
don't
some
know,
qualities
like-
you want in a team?
I'd rather reward people being good teammates, people
Boom.
that give a lot of high fives to the teammates. If these are 8-year-olds,
Probably.
so kids that give
8 to
a
10
lot of high fives to their teammates, kids that lift their teammates up when they're feeling down, kids that show leadership qualities at 8 years old, or are bringing along a kid who's maybe not as physically talented. They're kind of guiding them under their wing or helping them.
Yeah. Attitude, effort,
yeah,
being a
attitude.
teammate.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you. You know, maybe I got some more. Cutting kids, high school sports. Small school. No, cutting kids because you don't want to have a JV team.
Yeah, no, that's bad. But there's more than that goes into that, though. Do you have the coaching staff that allows you to have a JV team? Because,
If you have a coach, yes. Think about football. 2 or 3 of us had to do both. I did JV and varsity for like 8 years.
yeah,
And I did the weight room.
yeah, well,
Right?
yeah. But
If you're a coach,
yeah, I don't know. I get it. It's good.
there's other people that do more.
Like you should.
If you have a coach, why? It's like
you
the same. You go to the same freaking field.
Right, yeah. So
For some sport-
you
for
should not
almost
cut.
every sport.
I don't think you should cut kids
Like
because you don't
basketball,
want to
I
have a JV team. But I also think you should provide that JV team enough tools for it to be worthwhile for them too. Like invest in the
program.
JV team. Don't just be like, all right, you're on JV, and
It's
then
not
never
about
spend
that. I think it's
time.
about investing in the program.
Right.
If you want a program, you gotta have kids out. You
Yeah.
gotta coach them all.
Yeah.
You don't cut them because you don't want to coach them. You don't cut them because it's an inconvenience. You just coach them. You freaking, like the leader we talked about, you get good people in there and you train them in what you want. You get kids out for the team and you train them with the qualities you want them to have,
Yeah.
right? I mean, they're not you can't turn everybody into the best in the world, but, you know, you talk about those attitude, the effort, you know, it's whatever you put a value on at a young age or as an adult, or in high school, say, it's like, whatever you deem as valuable, whether it's touchdowns or receptions or being on varsity or not, like that's what the team's gonna value. But
Right.
if you value those other little things, I think over the long haul, you get the participation numbers up. I got another question for you then too, remind me. You get the numbers up, you coach them up, you reward attitude, effort, being a teammate, and I think your program's gonna be good for it.
You know what Joey Burgles said?
Sure, no, I don't, but
One thing he said is he always makes an effort to, I don't know, like positively reinforce whenever he sees any of his athletes coaching other athletes. He makes sure to tell them, hey, I love that you were showing so-and-so how to squat properly or how to fix that. And he'll acknowledge that in front of the entire group.
Yeah.
And he ends up getting more behavior like that. More people end up.
yeah, it's what you value,
Right.
is what you get, right?
Mhm.
You know, yeah, that's great. I've had a thought recently about that where it's like, you know, I've coached you for a while, known you for a while, and you worked with me for a while, but like, I need to sort of, like using some of the kids that are here, like we just had a good youth camp today where we had like, you know, 17 kids, they had all from school today because Labor Day's on Monday. I literally just got word out 6 days prior to the first one. I was like, crap, they're off. Let's see if I can slap something together. We got a bunch of families came out, it was a good turnout. And it's like, how do we get, like I want to keep it all in-house too. It's like, I want the kids that I train, training other kids. It's like these 12-year-old, say a 12-year-old girl here sees a high school girl that is doing really well on the field. Like, let's have her around helping out. Because now that girl has somebody to look up to. Now the high school kid's kind of investing and giving back. And it's like, if you come here and you know, if you train in here, like you're always going to be part of the family.
Right.
And I understand you're going to be gone. You're going to have, you know, sports going on, but you're always welcome to come back. You're always welcome to help with what we're doing. You know, we have kids like doing what you used to do, you know, weed whacking out here in
Yeah.
exchange for work. And I'm like, I had one kid say, hey, I got a 4 and 6 year olds out here, and like, I need you to be a part of this. Now they had an older kid kind of helping out, and yeah, I don't know, you know, keeping everything kind of in-house like that, and you kind of build that community where people are encouraging and they see the older people there, I think is a positive thing. And you know, you get it. It's like, you know, the adults are like, well, my kid doesn't listen to me, so we'll bring him to you. Sometimes, you know, the kid might not want to listen. They might not listen as well enough to like a coach or an authority figure, but you know, if their sister or somebody they look up to is helping them, then it comes from a different voice.
Yeah.
And then the opposite's true too. I think somebody probably doesn't want to listen to their older sibling, but you know, if you have somebody, the older sibling's best friend, you know, might be able
Yeah.
to, or the coach might be able to help them. But you have everybody kind of not policing, but coaching, you know, and helping out. I think that's nice. I think it's valuable. I'm gonna keep that in mind moving forward here. So try to build up some things here. Football. Why does this sport? You know, I coached it for, let's say, 10 plus years. I've never seen a sport that wasted more time with the kids that aren't starters. Youth level, probably all the way up to college. You know, it's like if you're not on the field, you just stand there and do nothing.
Well, that's what I was saying with the coaches. Why, like, if you're cutting kids for a JV team, and then you're not giving any time to coach these JV players, are you really investing in these JV guys, or are they just showing up to practice, standing there 2 hours a day on the sideline? Because so
Well,
there's the scout
So
teams.
that's my problem with say football. There's a youth kid that, you know, the mother's telling me, oh yeah, you know, he stands around a bunch, you know, he plays other sports and he's active. Because when he's not in, they just stand there. High schools, if you're a freshman and you're not out there on the scout team, what do? You stand on the
You just
sideline
stand
for
on the
90
side,
minutes, right?
and yeah,
If you, let's say the football season's 12 weeks, and if you could get that kid, let me think here, 10 extra reps a week, which is 3 reps a day for over the course of 4 days, roughly. 3 reps,
yeah,
3 practice plays, right? So what did I even go with, 10 a
Yeah.
week? That's 120 reps. That's nothing. Three plays a day. Practicing something like 3 times a day, we'll
Yeah.
pay you that. And then over the 4 years, that's, you know, whatever it is, 480 extra reps.
yeah.
But instead, those kids sit there. The weak kids over there, the underclassmen, why aren't they pushing? Get some sleds out. Get some coaches doing something with them, you know. Kids need to go over the plays. Get the young linemen going over their plays, you know, instead of standing around doing nothing. That was always my big gripe with football. It's just like, yeah, the JVs don't know what they're doing because they don't ever do anything.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, how do you expect a kid to know what they're doing if you're not coaching them to do it?
Right.
So, I guess that's just my problem with coaching then. Your soccer example, it's like, you know, what's best for the program? And what would be best for the program is to train everybody appropriately.
Right. And I mean, if there's kids that are not, so at the high school level, everyone needs to be coached a lot. But maybe at the collegiate level, or maybe the collegiate level is not the right example, but you'll have kids who are proficient, they understand what they have to do, they just have to practice it. So maybe you don't need a coach watching a quarterback throw slants to the starting receivers, they just need to practice it. And that's a time that the coach can go and help the receivers who don't know how to run a slant, or the quarterback that doesn't know how to throw a slant, or take the drop steps for it.
But you know what? You don't even physically, like, I've working with high school quarterbacks, like, you don't even have to waste the energy of throwing a ball. You know, you see guys like Drew Brees goes over the whole game on the field in his head. You know, he'll do all the drops, he'll see everything. I don't know if he does that every time before the games, but like his warm up out there is like, I think he's working up a sweat and he's going through whatever their sequence of plays are to open the game, and then some. And he's like, you know, just visualizing everything, and he's taking his drops, and he's, you know, probably going through the progressions all like, you don't even physically have to do too much. It's like, here's our 20 plays, you know, during walkthrough we would do. Well, it's like, let's do it again here now, and let's speed it up a little bit, and let me do a couple plays. You know, it's like, go through the progressions, watch their feet slide from, I'm not throwing there to that guy. So yeah, just like stuff like that, you know, it's like, if you want to develop these kids, it's like, we have to coach them. We have to give them opportunities to do stuff. The running back, the fullback that doesn't know which way to go, you know, that can be fixed easy.
I think those are the things that can be fixed so easily if you can coach or understand anything about being a human being. All you have to do is say, hey buddy, why did you go to the left instead of to the right? And he can say, I don't know the play. And it's like, okay, well, the play goes to the right, and we always go to the right for this reason, because this linebacker is coming through here, or this is this. And I think if you give a why, which people are terrible at doing, if you can give one slight why better than because I said so, then they understand why they're doing what they're doing. They understand why it's important, and they remember to do it more.
Yeah, but it's easier to just yell at them and say, get off my field. You're an idiot. You don't know what you're doing, right? I mean, that seems to be easier.
I guess that is easier.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, so we got to get the reps up, man. That's it. That's the name of the game. You know, keep kids out for the sport. Give them that third place.
Yeah.
And coach them.
Yeah, right?
Right?
If you're the coach.
It's your freaking team.
If you're the coach, no bad teams.
Only bad leaders.
Yeah.
We're circling the wagons on that. I think we're good. You got anything else?
I got nothing else.
What's the gist on this? Don't be an a-hole. There's no bad teams, only bad leaders. What else did we just talk about? Providing that third place. If you're a coach, coach.
Yeah, and have some plans. If you're looking to get into strength training, have some levels to it, or
Standards.
Yeah.
Set the bars.
Yeah.
Knock it off. And remember, this is a life's work, man. We talked about it. Been doing this stuff for a while. I'm still working on something, right? So you could always find little areas to improve upon. You got any closing words?
No.
Steve-O's back from the dead here. All right, guys. Crystal Podcast, YouTube, Apple, Google,
Anywhere else you
Stitcher,
listen to
maybe
podcasts.
Spotify, Stitcher, Spotify, anywhere else that's out there. I'm trying to use this thing here, some sort of vehicle here, to just kind of continue to kind of build this this farm that we got out here and keep providing that third place for people to come and have a good time, man. Peace, everybody.
Peace.